Good morning, Zio here, and today we're doing an update on Wizards of the Coast and D&D, so grab yourself some coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? But yeah, so things have happened. And by things, I mean they have sent this apology. And it's not the same apology we originally got, where they're like, now don't believe that you have won because we've all won, because if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have anyone to get upset at and all this other stuff. Anyway, yeah, not that apology. This is a new one. Anyway. But yeah, this here is floating around apparently. No idea how true this is, but reportedly, apparently, Wizards of the Coast and their D&D Beyond and stuff like that lost 40,000 plus subs, which seems like a lot apparently. And we're looking at, apparently with the new OGL and everything else, and what we're looking at is like, for the top thing, $30 per month instead of what it currently is. Of course, deauthorizes the OGL, homebrew being banned at base tiers, stripping down gameplay for AI DMs and stuff. Yeah, sounds really great. And of course, we got some people out there who are cooperating this from their sources. Apparently $30 is going to be the highest tier and included monthly content drops. I'm sorry? No. I mean, what is it right now? Like Netflix is $10 or something. Hulu is like roughly the same thing. You really want to pay $30 for that? Anyway, be able to use D&D Beyond? I sure as heck don't. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're here for this right here. Let's talk about the path forward. This here is their apology. So here we go. This is D&D Beyond, of course. Over there they've listed this: working conversation about the open game license. Anyway, we're gonna take a look at this because it's filled with BS and junk. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure it is anyway. But yeah, hi, I'm Kyle Brinks, the executive producer of D&D, and it is my team that makes the game we all play. Now, this guy here has only been in charge for like the past 2 months or so. 2, 3, 4 months, something like that. He's not been there that long, right? He's not been the executive producer for that long. He is a scapegoat. Quite frankly, don't get mad at him. It's not his fault. He is literally being turned into a scapegoat for this entire OGL debacle, because it takes more than a couple of months to do what's going on right here and develop it and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, D&D has been a huge part of my life long before I worked at Wizards, and we've been for a long time after I'm done. My mission and that of the entire D&D team is to help bring everyone the creative joy and lifelong friendships that D&D has given us. Don't care, that's great. Anyway, these past days and weeks have been incredibly tough for everyone. As players, fans, stewards of the game, we can't and we won't let things continue like this. Okay, that's cool. Whatever. What are you going to do about it? I am here today to talk about a path forward. All right. I'm listening. First, though, let me start with an apology. We are sorry we got it wrong. No fucking shit. I mean, it's not hard to figure out, but like, I don't understand why companies seem to think this is okay, as like, you're going to make these sweeping large changes in the dead of night, and then you get up in arms when the entire fan base is like, oh no, what happened? Because the entire fan base is upset. Anyway, our language and requirements in the draft OGL were just, I'm sorry, it was not a draft. This was not a draft. This was that they sent off to a few select individuals who they probably made special deals with for them to go, okay, sounds good, boss man. And then to roll it out in the dead of night for everybody else and go, oh, by the way, did you sign this? Sweet, okay. And then they find out they've been screwed a week or so later when somebody goes through the thing and goes, wait a minute. And then decides this is a bad thing, right? No, but it got leaked. This was not a draft, and I don't know why they keep insisting on calling it a draft. I guess they think it's going to lessen the damage or whatnot. It's like, whoa, hold on. It was just a draft, everybody. No reason to get upset. No, it was not a draft. You know it, I know it, they know it. Anyway, our language and requirements in the new OGL, we distributed to creators and not in support of our core goals of protecting and cultivating an inclusive play environment and limiting the OGL to the TTRPGs. That's a lot. Then we compounded things by being silent too long. We hurt fans and creators who more frequent and clear communication could have been prevented, or could have prevented so much of this. Yeah, absolutely. Like, it happens every single time in every other fandom. They do a thing that is dumb. The fandom gets upset, and then they're like, what happened? I don't understand. It's because you don't take the time to be clear. You don't take the time to say anything. And they do it all the time. And then they find themselves a scapegoat for everybody to get mad at, right? Like they're doing with this guy here, this Kyle guy. You know, because he's not been there long enough to have affect any of this stuff. Or to do any of it. Anyway, here's what to expect. On or before Friday, January 20th, we share new proposed OGL documents for your review and feedback, much as we do with playtest materials. Okay, cool, because you didn't do that to begin with. All right. After you review the proposed OGL, you'll be able to fill out a quick survey, much like Unearthed Arcana's playset, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so a survey that nobody's going to look at. Got it. Okay. The survey will remain open for at least 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares because nobody's going to actually look at the damn survey. In my opinion, because this is purely my opinion, purely speculative, compared to what I've seen from other companies and stuff, especially from things like Blizzard's. They say things like, we listen to the players, we want player feedback, we need player feedback. Here are surveys. Survey. All right. And then they do the complete opposite of what everybody actually wants, or the majority of the community wants. Wizards of the Coast, sorry. Activision Blizzard Entertainment are really, really bad at this. I'm sorry, not bad. They're really good at this because they keep doing it. And then here there's people like me who are complaining about it. And then the people continue to do it, right? And they don't see any changes whatsoever. And they keep getting madder and upset about it because they keep filling out the surveys. Nothing happens, and they do the complete opposite. I have no stock in this survey system whatsoever. I feel like this is purely just to get it off of Twitter, off of Facebook, off of YouTube, off of social media in general, and get it out of the eye of any other normal player who may have not seen it yet. Because there's a lot of them out there who haven't, right? And those who frequent things like D&D Beyond happen to be those who are in those spaces. So if they can get it to quiet down for a bit because everybody's filling out surveys that they think are going to do something, then, that seems to be like the better option, right? Anyways, I don't take stock into it. They can F off. Finally, you deserve some stability and clarity. We are committed to giving creators both input into and room to prepare for any updates to the OGL. Also, there's a ton of stuff that isn't going to be affected by the OGL updates. So today, right now, we'll lay out the areas of this conversation of this conversation won't touch. Any changes to the OGL will have no impact on at least these creative efforts. Now let's take a look here. Your video content, whether you're a commentator, a streamer, podcast, livecast member, blah blah blah, I don't give a damn, because quite frankly, covered by fair use and other stuff, they technically can't touch this sort of stuff unless you sign something saying they can, which is what they were trying to do, right? So legally speaking, they couldn't touch it anyway. That's what part of that was one of the issues that I definitely took umbrage with the new OGL, is the fact that they were trying to muscle into that kind of stuff and say, well, you signed this saying we could, waiving all your normal rights when it comes down to that sort of thing. Anyway, your accessories for your owned content. No changes to the OGL will affect your ability to sell minis, novels, apparel, dice, and other items related to your creations, characters, and worlds. To be totally honest, I don't think they can technically prevent you from doing any of those things either legally. They don't have a market on minis. They can't tell you what book you can write. The only thing they could actually have a market to without you signing it over to them through, say, a new OGL, would be apparel or anything that has the D&D brand to it. You know, you stick the D&D initials or whatever to it, then they could quite possibly have claim to it if they wanted to, because of copyright and other things. But any of this stuff right here, this stuff listed, technically, regardless of whether there's an OGL in play or not, I don't think they have any legal rights to. They don't have the legal right to take what you come up with in your mind. They can't just suddenly just have the entire minis market because they feel like there no judge, no court anywhere in this country is going to allow them to sue somebody because they've made a miniature elf, right? Or they've wrote a book set in a fantasy adventure setting and called it Dwarven Craft or something. I don't know. And then try and claim, well, that's D&D. Because X, Y, and Z. You know, when there's no D&D branding. And as for dice, I don't think they can legally do that one either, because you use all those kinds of dice for multiple games at this point. I don't... Anyway, and they definitely can't go after your creations and characters and homebrews and things like that in the worlds you've dreamed up. Now, the new OGL, on the other hand, was allowing them to do just that. All right? So it's nice to know that they're going to leave it alone now. Non-published works, for instance, contracted services. You use the OGL, if you want to publish your works that reference 5th edition content through the SRD. Do I just suddenly have the hiccups now? Of course. That means commissioned work, paid DM services, consulting, and so on aren't affected by the OGL. Well, that's great. I don't know exactly how you plan to even try and enforce a paid DM services, because I am once again going to go onto this wagon and say Wizards can't legally try and claim that they own you because you get paid to DM for somebody. A dungeon master, by the way, that's what DM is. You know, they don't own that, right? I'm almost positive they don't own the idea of a dungeon master. You don't go to a school for dungeon masters. You don't go to, these courses or whatnot and get trained by Wizards of the Coast on how to DM. Because if that is the case, I would like all my paychecks, please, now. Because if I'm supposed to have been getting paid for my DMing, I would like it right now, Wizards. And they can't. They can't take that anyway. Of course, consulting, whatever, again, if it's not directly D&D related, they can't touch it. You get something drawn up of your characters, your party members while playing whatever tabletop game that you are. They have no rights over it whatsoever. But with the new OGL, they were trying to. That's why this stuff is in here right now. VTT content, virtual tabletop content. This was a big one. Any update to the OGL will still allow creators to publish content on VTT virtual tabletops, and will still allow virtual tabletop publishers to use OGL content on their platforms. And this is a big one, right? Because virtual tabletop, that is a very small niche area. There's not a lot of them out there. You've got D&D Beyond, virtual tabletop, and maybe a few others floating about here and there, which means they need to actually be able to sort of share the content somehow, and this, that, and the other. Anything that you make in a virtual tabletop content setting, which is something they were also trying to grab as well, they're not going to touch it apparently now. All right. DM's Guide content. The content you release on DM's Guide is published under a community content agreement with Dungeon Master Guild. This is not changing. I have no idea what that is. I'm not going to lie. I have no clue what that is. And quite frankly, if you're using something that is provided by Wizards at this point, I would suggest no longer doing it. I mean, that's just me. I've said it before. Stop doing it. Just don't do that sort of thing anymore. And you won't ever have this problem ever again if you don't publish it under the D&D name. Anyway, your OGL 1.0A content. Nothing will impact your content you have published. That was another thing too. They were trying to backdate anything that had been published up to that point of you signing that saying, we own it all. Everything is ours now. And there's nothing you can do about it. Next one is your revenue, because that was all over the place. The royalty fees, right? That was another big one. There's going to be no royalty fees for financial reporting requirements. They're no longer going to make sure that your podcast that has brought in X amount doesn't have to pay them royalties now. Your ownership of your content. You will continue to own your content with no license back requirements, which is what I just talked about, where they were, up here trying to license back anything, right? That's all for me now. You heard again from, okay, I don't care. Kyle, here's the deal. You're in charge now, right? Apparently, or at least that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to come in here and say, look, I'm the guy in charge. Everything stops with me. We know you didn't have anything to do with the new OGL for the most part, or if you did, it was very minimal, because this sort of thing takes months and months and months to work on, to hammer out the kinks, to write it up, to form the proper language. However, since you are the one in charge, here is a fantastic idea of what you need to do. You need to take the new OGL, crumple it up, and throw it into the nearest waste bin. That's it. Throw it into the nearest recycler, incinerator, whatever the fuck you can find that you can throw it into the trash with, and be done with it. There's nothing wrong with the current OGL. Nothing whatsoever. And the fact that Wizards wants to continue to push a new OGL makes me skeptical that they have anything in mind about you and your ability to play and enjoy the game and all this other stuff. No, they want to push this stuff out there. It may have new things out, and this is what they want to do. This is their end game right here. This stuff right here that they say they will not put into it right now, this is their end game. Guarantee it. This is the stuff that they really want. This is what they're going to push. And by putting out a new OGL, when they do it again, and then, suddenly there's something else in there that you just don't realize or don't notice because it's so small and it's just slipped in there that it wasn't there beforehand, it won't be a big deal. I mean, it might. It might cause a little bit of a perclunk, right? But for the most part, then when they do it again, and the OGL 2.3 or whatnot comes out, and then another thing gets slipped in, and then they do it again in a few years, and then suddenly, they're saying, oh, by the way, if you do this and you have X amount of this going on, we need you to report your earnings to us because we are going to tax you for your revenue and things like that. If you really want to listen to the people, get rid of the new OGL, stick to the current one. There is nothing wrong with it. It is fine as is. But you're not going to. You will continue to push this through. So my advice to everyone else is to drop D&D from any of your branding. Anything. It is no longer D&D. It is purely tabletop. Wizards can get fucked. I will see you in the next one.